Hi, I'm Emily, a determined single mom. Before I get into my story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more real-life tales. I always imagined my pregnancy surrounded by a loving family, but life had different plans. It was during my 7th month, typically a time when most expectant moms are nesting and finalizing baby preparations, that my world began to fall apart. Emily, we need to talk about rent, my father said one evening, completely catching me off guard. Rent? I asked, confused and a bit scared. I thought I was staying here rent-free, especially with the baby on the way. My mother's voice was cold and firm. We've reconsidered. It's only fair that you contribute financially if you're going to stay here. But I can't afford rent right now, I pleaded, my hands trembling as they rested on my swollen belly. I'm about to go on maternity leave, and you know Alex's dad isn't in the picture. We can't just support you and a baby, my father said, his voice devoid of the warmth I once knew. You need to be responsible, Emily. Tears welled up in my eyes. Please, I promise I'll pay you back once I start working again. Can't we work something out? Their faces were unmoved. If you can't pay, you'll need to find somewhere else to live, my mother said firmly. Heartbroken and with no other choice, I packed my things. The next few days were a blur of tears and desperation until Sarah, a friend from college, reached out. You can stay with me as long as you need, Emily. Don't worry about rent, just focus on getting ready for the baby. Her kindness was a beacon in my darkest time. Moving in with Sarah felt like a breath of fresh air. Her small apartment became a sanctuary, a place filled with hope and laughter, so different from the coldness of my parents' home. We spent our evenings chatting about baby names and decorating a corner of her living room with baby Alex's things. How could they just throw you out like that? It's unbelievable, Sarah often said, struggling to mask her frustration. I don't know, Sarah, I would reply, trying to stay strong. It hurts, but right now, all I can focus on is Alex and making sure he has a peaceful entrance into the world. As the countdown to Alex's arrival began, I found comfort in the little nest Sarah and I had created for him. It wasn't the support-filled pregnancy I had envisioned, but it was wrapped in genuine care and love. Something I hoped to give my son in abundance was love. The day Alex was born was the happiest of my life. As I held him for the first time, feeling his tiny fingers curl around mine, I knew I would do anything to protect him. The hardships of the past few months seemed to melt away, replaced by a fierce love and determination. Just a few weeks into motherhood, while I was still adjusting to sleepless nights and the constant demands of a newborn, my parents reached out. It was unexpected and honestly unwelcome. Emily, we want to meet Alex. My mother's voice came through the phone, as if nothing had happened. We're his grandparents, after all. Why now? I asked, my voice tight with a mix of anger and anxiety. You kicked me out when I needed you most. We were just trying to teach you responsibility, my mother replied, her tone suggesting this was supposed to be obvious. We always had Alex's best interests at heart. Best interests? You left your pregnant daughter homeless. I don't trust your intentions now, I snapped back, cradling Alex a little closer. The conversation ended abruptly with my mother's parting words. We'll see, he's our grandson. As news of their sudden interest in Alex spread through the family, reactions were mixed. My Uncle John called one afternoon, his voice filled with concern. Emily, your parents are really upset. Maybe you should let them see Alex. It might mend things a bit. I can't just forget what they did, Uncle John. How can I trust them with Alex when they showed no mercy to us? I argued. Family is supposed to forgive, he countered, echoing the sentiment of several relatives. Amidst the family pressure, Sarah remained my steadfast supporter. You don't owe them anything, Emily. They should earn your trust first, she would remind me during our late-night talks after Alex had finally settled down. Their continued attempts to be part of Alex's life only deepened my resolve to protect him from their instability. One Saturday, they showed up unannounced at Sarah's apartment, causing an uncomfortable confrontation. We have every right to see him, my father exclaimed, standing at the door with frustration evident in his stance. You gave up those rights when you threw us out. Alex needs stability, love, and protection. All things you didn't provide when I needed them, I responded, holding the door firm while Alex napped quietly in the other room. As they left, their expressions mixed with anger and disbelief, I felt a twinge of guilt but knew I had made the right decision. Motherhood had taught me that protecting Alex was my top priority, no matter the emotional cost. In the weeks that followed, the family rift only deepened. Some relatives whispered about my ungrateful attitude, while others quietly commended my courage. Through it all, I focused on Alex, his smiles and needs providing the strength I needed to face each day. Despite the turmoil, I never regretted my decision. As I watched Alex grow, each milestone was a reminder of the life we were building together, just the two of us, a small but unbreakable family forged in the fires of adversity. Months after Alex was born, while rocking him to sleep one quiet night, I couldn't shake the feeling of injustice that gnawed at me. My parents' newfound desire to be doting grandparents after their harsh rejection was too much to bear. Silently, I felt a need to share our story, perhaps to warn others or find solidarity in shared experiences of familial betrayal. One evening, with Alex asleep in the quiet hum of the computer before me, I began to write. The words flowed, fueled by pent-up frustration and a desire for transparency. I detailed everything, from the joy of discovering I was pregnant to the shocking moment my parents demanded rent and eventually kicked me out, and their sudden change of heart once Alex was born. I hit post on the blog, sharing it not only on my personal social media pages, but also tagging my parents' workplaces, where they had built reputations as kind and understanding individuals. It felt like a necessary addition, a way to show the contrast between their public personas and private actions. The reaction was immediate and explosive. Shares, likes, and comments piled up as strangers and acquaintances alike expressed their shock, support, and sometimes their own stories of similar betrayals. "You did the right thing, Emily. People need to see this side of them," read one comment, echoing the sentiment of many. However, not all feedback was supportive. Tagging my parents' workplaces brought a tidal wave of controversy. "You shouldn't have brought their jobs into this. That's too far." A family friend messaged me privately, a sentiment shared by others who felt I had crossed a line. The family drama intensified when my Aunt Laura called, her voice trembling with emotion. "You've embarrassed them in front of their colleagues. Was that really necessary? They're upset and considering legal steps against you." "I'm sorry for the tagging. That might have been a step too far," I replied. "But I'm not sorry for sharing my story. They needed to be held accountable." I replied, my voice firm yet weary from the emotional toll. Days later, amidst growing public scrutiny and conversations about the conditions of familial love, I edited the post to remove the tags to their workplaces, adding an apology for that specific action. However, I left the rest of the content untouched. My truth was not up for negotiation. As the post continued to circulate, it sparked discussions on various platforms about the expectations and obligations of family. Many rallied to my defense, echoing the sentiment that families should support, not condition their love on financial contributions. Through it all, I stood firm. The decision to go public was not made lightly, but it was made with the conviction that transparency and integrity mattered more than maintaining appearances. The controversy did lead to some relatives distancing themselves, but it also brought unexpected support from others who admired my courage. One afternoon, as I watched Alex play, his innocent laughter was a balm to my troubled heart. No matter the fallout, I knew my first duty was to him, to ensure he grew up in an environment where love was given freely, not conditionally. My resolve hardened, ready to face whatever consequences the future held, fortified by the belief that truth, however difficult, was always worth standing for. As the echoes of the social media storm began to fade, I redirected my energies toward the tangible elements of our new life. The chaos had taken its toll, and now more than ever, Alex and I needed stability and peace. I immersed myself in the world of freelance work, tapping into skills I had previously set aside. I hadn't used these skills in years, but the flexibility of freelance work was perfect for a single mother like me. It allowed me to balance caring for Alex while rebuilding our financial foundation. "Emily, I've got a project that might be right up your alley," said Mark, a former colleague who reached out after hearing about my situation. "It's remote and the pay is good. You should give it a shot." Grateful for the opportunity, I dove into the work with enthusiasm. Each completed assignment was more than just a task. It was a brick laid in the foundation of our new life. Slowly, the fruits of my labor began to show, and within months, I had saved enough to consider moving into a place we could finally call our own. Finding the right apartment was a journey in itself. Alex, ever curious, tagged along to viewings, his delighted giggles echoing through empty rooms that promised new beginnings. When we finally found the one, a small sunlit two-bedroom on the outskirts of town, I knew we had found our new home. "Look, Alex, this will be your room," I said, watching his eyes light up as we explored his new space. I could already picture where we put his little bed and the shelves for his growing collection of books. The day we moved in was a whirlwind of activity, with Sarah and a few other close friends lending their hands and hearts. "You've come so far, Emily," Sarah said as she unpacked a box of kitchenware. "I'm so proud of you." Their support was a reminder of the good in the world and of the kind of unconditional love my parents had withheld, but that Alex would never lack. Amidst these positive changes, my parents made sporadic attempts to reconnect, sending messages and small gifts for Alex. "We miss you. Let's try to start over," read a note from my mother, tucked into a book of children's stories. I approached these attempts with a guarded heart. Healing from their betrayal was not linear, and while I appreciated their efforts, I knew some wounds ran too deep for quick fixes. My responses were polite but firm, prioritizing our well-being and a stable, loving environment I was determined to nurture. "Mom, thanks for the book. We're doing well. Let's take things one step at a time," I replied, setting boundaries to protect Alex and me from potential hurt. As the months passed, our new apartment truly became a home, filled with laughter, love, and the occasional mess of toys and art supplies. I found joy in the small moments, morning cuddles, park outings, and bedtime stories that made up our days. It was a life built on our terms, free from the shadows of the past. Looking back, the road was undoubtedly rough, marked by heartbreak and hardship, but it led us here, to a place of our own, a sanctuary where Alex could thrive and where I could finally breathe, knowing we were safe, loved, and home. The new beginning we had fought so hard for was now our reality, and every day was a testament to the strength found in starting new. As months turned into a year, the unexpected consequences of my public revelation about my parents' conditional support began to unfold in ways I hadn't anticipated. Despite my initial intentions to share my story as a cautionary tale and a source of catharsis, the ripple effects were profound, reshaping not just my life but theirs as well. My parents, who had always been respected in their professional circles, found their reputations challenged. The blog post had tarnished their reputations. The story of their harsh treatment during my pregnancy resonated deeply with many, and the community's response was swift and severe. Colleagues who had once greeted them with smiles now offered only cold shoulders. Invitations to social gatherings dried up as friends distanced themselves, disapproving of how they had treated their pregnant daughter. "It's just not the same at work anymore," my father confided during one of his rare calls, his voice tinged with regret. "People look at us differently. Actions have consequences," I replied, my tone neutral yet firm. It was important for them to understand the gravity of their decisions, not just for my sake, but for their own reflection and growth. As I forged ahead, building a life of independence and nurturing Alex with all the love I could muster, my parents were left to reckon with the fallout of their choices. The community's judgment served as a mirror, forcing them to confront the harshness of their actions. Meanwhile, Alex and I flourished in our new environment. Each day brought new joys and challenges, but the freedom to make our own choices and the absence of conditional love allowed us to thrive. My freelance career grew as I secured more clients, drawn in by my dedication and the quality of my work. Our little apartment felt like a castle, filled with laughter, love, and the endless potential of the days ahead. In quiet moments, I often reflected on the journey. The pain my parents had caused was still a tender wound, yet it had compelled me to grow in ways I never imagined. I had become not just a survivor, but a thriver, someone who could stand on her own and provide a nurturing home for her child. "Mom, look at me," Alex would shout as he zoomed around our living room, a makeshift cape tied around his neck. His joy was my greatest reward, a balm to the wounds of the past. As for my parents, their journey was their own to navigate. The community's backlash was a form of natural justice, a consequence of their actions that no court could have imposed. They reached out occasionally, their voices softer, tinged with the understanding of what they had lost. I listened, but with the knowledge that some distances were necessary for healing. In the end, fate had handed down its verdict. As I watched Alex grow each day, a testament to our resilience and love, I knew the future was bright, filled with the promise of unconditional love and new beginnings. Our past, with its shadows and pain, was behind us, serving not as a chain but as a lesson on the power of standing firm in one's truth and the redemptive strength of moving forward. The story of Emily's resilience has come to a close. How would you have handled the situation if you were in Emily's shoes? Share your thoughts, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more real life tales.